Hello there, and huge congratulations on investing in EQUUS Organiser, the simplest, fastest, and better way to run equestrian events. My name is Kayla, and I am part of the customer service team within EQUUS Innovation Limited, and my role is to help you get the most out of your EQUUS Organiser show management system. So the really great thing about the EQUUS Organiser software is that literally everything is configurable and can be done by you. There is no need to have to call EQUUS to make even the most fundamental of changes to how you want the software to work, as it is all soft and can be completely configured by you whenever you need to make a change. The system is set up and configured to start using EQUUS Organiser through the administration section of the main menu. There are 3 individual steps to configure the system before you can start using it effectively. Step 1 is creating the users and their permissions. Step 2 is allocating revenue and expenses for individual events and configuring the arenas you intend to use. And step 3 is setting up the products and services, membership schemes, and time management. So, here are the 3 steps again, but this time in more detail. Step 1 is to create the users that you want to allow to have access to the system and configure what permissions or access levels that they will need to be given to fulfill their role in your business. So first of all, please go to the main menu on the left-hand side of the screen and select Administration, and then select Users from the drop-down menu. This will take you to this screen which shows all of the current people with access to your system and their selected access permissions. To create a new user, simply press the Add User button at the top right of the screen to add in someone new. The system will present you with a form to fill in like this, and you should input the user name, which by the way is always the email address of the person you want to add into the system, followed by their first and last names. The system will automatically change the account status to show that a password change is required. You can next set up the subscription facility, which will send a daily email report on all the entries received for that specific day, and you can specify the time that the email is sent to you by the system and configure how many future days you want the email to include within the event totals. This will then get the system to send daily emails at a specific time each day, showing you how many entries you have received that day and also how many entries you have in the forthcoming events you are running going forward. Finally, you can select what access permissions you want to provide for this user, so that confidential information like financials can be restricted to those people who really need the information to fulfill their responsibilities. When you are happy, just save the changes you have made. So now we can move on to setting up step 2, which is to define in the system any income and expense items that you want to be able to allocate to specific events, to provide a proper overall profit or loss statement for every event you run, and also to enter a list of the arenas used by the Equestrian Centre to run the different events. First of all, you will need to identify all of the possible income and expenses items that you are likely to accrue for any event. This would include revenue generated like sponsorship for a specific event, or money to be paid out to run that event, such as judges or course builder costs. To input this information, go to the Event Extras tab under the Administration menu, and you will be able to see all the income and expenses types that you have already created, along with their values. To create a new expense or income type, click on the Add Extras button on the top right of the screen. The system will present another form to be completed, which will allow you to nominate an item code and an item description, as well as an item value in pounds, and you can designate whether this is in cost expense by ticking this box or leave it unticked for it to be a considered revenue income. There is another box which can be ticked if the item is temporarily inactive for any reason, which should be left unticked for now. The final element is to indicate whether the income or expenses will be subject to VAT and at what rate, solely for accounting purposes. Once again, when you are happy, please just press the Save button to keep the changes you have made. Now we can exit the Extras tab, and from the same Administration menu, select the Arenas tab. The system needs to know about all of the different types of arena, and you will need to add in all the details about each of the arenas that you intend to use in running your events. To do this, once again, in the main menu in the Administration section of the system, select the Arenas tab. Some centres will have just a single arena, and others will have multiple arenas that they use for different events. You will need to add into the system database individually each of the arenas you intend to use. All of them will be shown on this page. To enter the details about a new arena, please click on the Add Arena button in the top right-hand corner. Once again, there is a simple form to complete, which will require the arena name. The arena type, for example, show jumping dressage or cross-country, etc. There is a tick box to designate whether the arena is indoor or not, and if it is outdoor, then this should be left blank. There is once again a button for when this arena is deemed inactive and not in use, and a final section again on whether VAT is to be applied and again at what rate. As before, when you are happy, please just save your changes by clicking the Save button. And finally, you can now move on to step 3, which is configuring the details about the different supplementary products and services that you are going to want to sell to your customers when they compete. Set up the times that you want to use when drawing an order for allocated time slots, and creating any membership discount schemes that you plan to use to encourage your customers to return to your centre. Let's start with adding in the products and services you want to sell to your customers when they compete at your centre. There are several different types of products. Some can be mandatory, like first aid, which you may want to charge per rider, per day, or per entry, or per event. Products and services can be configured so that they are automatically added to each event that is created as an auto-charge item. This happens when an event is first created and configured depending on whether or not the event is affiliated or unaffiliated, using the options you can see below. The customer is charged only when they enter the event, and the number of charges is dependent on the charge type set below. Similarly, these auto charges or mandatory charges can be applied or removed from any of the different disciplines by selecting the ones you want it to apply to right here. Select again which events you want to apply this to, and when you are happy, save the changes you have made. There is a separate video training module on how to allocate these auto charges to a specific event in Training Module 2, which should be viewed when setting up the events. There are other types of products and services which are totally optional. For example, you may want to sell an electrical hookup for your clients to be able to get access to electricity for their lorries or caravans. This allows you to set a charge per day or per duration for the use of the facility, and you can specify whether it can be purchased online or through the back office or both. There is again a button to tick if the product service becomes inactive, and again you can select what types of events you want to make these products available for. The third type of product is again mandatory, and there is a system-wide default product that will be automatically configured for you for the entry booking fees. To add a new product service into the system, click on the Add Item button on the top right-hand corner. This will display a form where you can configure the product service you want to sell as required. Editing any of the items is very simple. Just click on the name of the product service and edit the form as required, saving it when you are happy the changes have been correctly made. Finally, there are 2 more functions that you will need to set up membership schemes and timings. Membership schemes and discounts for entry can be set up from the Administration section using the Memberships tab. Click on the Membership tab and you will see all of the existing schemes you have set up. To create a new scheme, select the Add Membership button at the top of the right-hand side of the screen. You will see this form and you can add in the details, the name of the scheme, the cost of membership if appropriate, and the time that the scheme will run for. You can fill in all the membership benefits and select which event disciplines the benefits will apply to. Finally, there is a section on whether VAT is applicable and at what rate. When you are happy, save the changes by clicking the Save button. This is to set up the membership scheme in the system, after which you then will need to apply the memberships to the member's account so that they can benefit from the membership scheme discounts, etc. There is a separate video module specifically on membership schemes and how they are applied in the system, which you should watch as soon as you get the system up and running. Now we can move on to the final element of the third step, which is time management. This is used almost exclusively for the management of the drawn orders so that you can select how you want to run your individual classes and events. If you click within the Administration section on the Time Management tab, you will see these two pre-selected timing elements, the duration of the gap that will be inserted at the end of each class, and the number of spare drawn order slots that will automatically be added into the system depending on the number of entries. For example, in this case, a slot will be added every 5 entries. These are only default settings that are set up for guidance. There is a separate video module for creating a drawn order which explains how to set up the gap between competitors and how you can configure individual classes or dressage tests to run to specific times and add-in breaks and other add-on functions like harrowing breaks, etc. Once again, to edit any of these timing defaults, just click on this blue button on the extreme right-hand side of the time you want to change, and you can edit it as required. Once again, when you are happy, save your changes. And so, to wrap up this video module for getting started, we have seen that there are 3 individual steps to setting the system up to work the way you want it to. Step 1. Create the users who you need to have access to the system and then give them the access permissions that they will need to do their job. Step 2. Create and allocate both revenue, income and expenses, charges, that you want to include in the profit or loss calculations for each event. Then add into the system all the arenas that you will use to run the events. Step 3. Configure the products and services you want to sell and set up membership schemes to encourage competitors to return, and then set up the key times you want to use as default when you draw time-allocated orders. That's all from me for now. Thank you for your time watching this video, but remember, you can always call EQUUS Innovation to get direct support at any time on the number shown here, and select Support.